Hello, good morning. Once again, I'm just waiting for Jimmy to come online. We are calling all young entrepreneurs again, and this is our third video that we're recording and that we want to share with you. I'm just waiting for Jimmy to come online, and we'll get started. Second. Right. Okay, there we go. Here we are. Just waiting for
Hey,
the
Annette.
connection. There you are. Hi, Jimmy.
Hi.
Well, I was just saying that we're just waiting for you to come online, so welcome.
Thank you.
And glad to see you from across the pond in sunny Australia. I think it's is it evening for you at the moment?
It is. It's just coming up to 9:30 on
Right.
Monday evening. Yeah.
Okay. And the clocks went back in the UK, so we're now Nigeria is an hour ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
So at this time it's 12:30
4:30.
in
Okay.
Lagos right
Yeah.
now
Mm-hmm.
in the afternoon. But thanks for coming back online again. And
My pleasure.
we wanted to carry on our conversation um, where we wish to inspire young entrepreneurs to build their businesses and to seek the coaching and mentoring that you offer from your international experience abroad. And I thought that today we might want to talk about how it's so important to overcome mental barriers. You know, the voices in our heads which tell us whether we can or can't do something. And because when you overcome those mental barriers, then you somehow become able to overcome the physical barriers that are preventing you. And I thought you might want to talk about that and perhaps reference some personal experiences where you've had to do that, and how you managed to overcome some of those obstacles that we faced.
Good. Well, I think you've touched on an important issue with regard to entrepreneurs. Most successful ones have got this ability to be able to work through those mental challenges that we all face in life. And I think it's those that are able to work through those are the ones that are really successful, because I think the mind has a way of playing tricks on us, doesn't it? To convince us not to
Yes.
do something that takes us outside our comfort zone. And I guess, the context has got to be when we have grown up, we were taught how not to do certain things. We were told, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't tell anybody what you're doing, never show your vulnerability, never show your weaknesses, never show your emotions. That's how I certainly was brought up. I think that's how a lot of people are brought up. I think the real key thing for me that I've learned is that, one, you need to be emotionally aware of your emotions. Number two, you need to be emotionally intelligent, knowing what your emotions are, and whether they be anxiety, whether they be love, whether they be happiness, whether they be fear, whatever they might be, you got to know what those are. But the most important thing I've learned is that you've got to have emotional fitness, and that is knowing how to manage your emotions in a certain circumstance. So context is, you're speaking to a group of people, and whether that group of people are 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, it doesn't really matter. the same issues, the same emotions arise, those fears, those concerns, those that anxiety comes. But I think the people that are successful, whether they be entrepreneurs or successful, high-performing athletes, they know how that the emotions are there, and they're only going to be there for about 60 seconds or 90 seconds unless you do something about them. And that's the managing the emotions, making sure that you're able to suppress them in a way that how you feel is more important than the emotions. Otherwise, the emotions just take over the situation, and they've got a great way of being able to tell you, no, you can't do that because it's just taking you outside your comfort zone. So I guess that for me is the important thing that I've learned, and that if there was something I could teach to the young entrepreneurs is that you've got to be emotionally aware, intelligent in terms of what your emotions are and being able to manage them. Those are the key things. From my own experiences, I think that's something, unfortunately, we never got to understand in the corporate world where it is I spent most of my working life. We were never taught to be emotionally aware or to be able to manage your emotions. And I think for me, it's come to me much later in life than where I feel we really need to know and understand this really key thing in our lives in order to be able to pretty much do anything we can today if we know how to manage our emotions in the proper way. And that's a key thing in being able to teach the young entrepreneurs. Because I think, you know, the young entrepreneurs today are, or the young people just in general, irrespective of whether young entrepreneurs, they've got so much to be able to give, so much to be able to achieve in the world. But like all human beings, they have those doubts, they have those limiting beliefs. And being able to help them from my own experience of learning them, I think, learning how to manage them, I think is something that I'd love to be able to feel is a big part of what I want to give back to the younger people today. Yeah.
Right. Um,
Yeah.
the emotional part which you've discussed is one aspect
Yeah.
of it, but what I would quite like for you to give to speak to
Yes.
is being able to see oneself in the mind's eye,
Mm.
um, in a place that you might not expect yourself to be, because that's
Mm-hmm.
part of um, visioning, you know, a glorious future, part of
Yeah.
imagining that dream, because it all starts up here. You know, if you can see it in here, then we can see it in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that limiting sight has to do with the immediate surroundings, not
Mm.
being able to see any light beyond, you know, the whatever sort of negative or, you know, miserable situation you might be presently within.
Mm.
Because I think that's what a lot of young people face in Nigeria, in that
Mm.
their immediate surroundings are not uplifting, in any may not be uplifting. Some may be fortunate to have perhaps a parent or an uncle or someone who is supportive and is keen to push them in the right direction. But there are many for whom, you know, the circumstances just seem so insurmountable.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
And
I think, yeah, yeah. I think the two key things I would like to be able to bring into, like here in Australia with the Young Entrepreneurs Academy, there's two key things I want to bring in. One is the whole aspect of not just taking an idea and being able to turn it into a business that solves a problem, but also being able to deal with what we've just been talking about, which is the whole issue of mindset, emotions, feelings, thoughts, behavior, all of that. But I think the other thing is to be able to have somebody who can guide you, whether it be a coach or a mentor. Again, something I never had when I was young, something schools need to make available to young students and entrepreneurs. And it's that bit, I think, just honing in on that and trying to answer your question, is that if these young people in Nigeria are in an environment where they can't see beyond it, it's so key that we have, now we can do it with technology, is be able to get in and to be able to help them understand that there is a path they can take. The path may not be readily apparent to them, but there is somebody like, you know, I sometimes give this talk and where on a stage I place this 10-year-old kid who wants to be an entrepreneur at one end of the stage, and I get to the other end of the stage and I just hold my hand out and say to that person, whether male or female, is that I'm here, I've been through this journey myself, it is full of challenges, but over there you don't want to go because that's where the problems are. Over here there's a good path, and be able to show them that beyond where they see themselves in this moment in time, which is they just can't see beyond it, is an opportunity and somebody to be able to help them who's got experience of the bigger environment to where they currently are. Because you're absolutely right. I think the context also is, you know, most people, when they come to me in coaching and looking for coaching, the number one thing that I find they have is just total overwhelm. They've got no sense of clarity. They know they can get to another place, just like the kid in Nigeria. They know, because they've been told, that there is another place they can get to, but they don't know how to get there. And I think
Right.
it's having a coach or a mentor who can help them, whether they be that person who's overwhelmed in life or the young Nigerian who doesn't know beyond their environment, that we need to be able to get in and help them, because having an experience beyond their environment, that is possibly their only way through, unless, you know, there's somebody in their environment who can actually help them. Yeah.
Well, I think there
So,
are a lot of different, you know, incentives that, because, you know, it's a large country and the population
mm-hmm.
is huge and there's a lot of people to help. So I think that programs like the one that you're offering, you know,
Yeah,
has to be one of many because there are so many that need this help.
absolutely. Yeah.
You know, it's exciting, for example, to see. I mentioned to you a little bit earlier about a young girl on CNN Heroes who's being awarded something for helping some of the very disadvantaged girls in what's called the Makoko um, uh, settlement, which is a
Mm.
settlement on water with of shacks built on water, with poor sanitation, water, and everything else. And she's apparently helping them with programming and
Mm-hmm.
using that to be able to, for, you know, for some of these young people to see a life, so to
Mm-hmm.
see a way forward. So I think that that bringing that inner sight through an emotional, as you say, awareness is a really important part of this message. I think
Yeah.
we've got time for maybe just one more point before
Mm.
we close this session for today. Um,
Mm.
and I just wanted to throw that one back to you and
Mm.
just see if there's something that you'd like to add to the message we're putting out today.
Mm. I think my message is, as you know, in speaking to the young people in Nigeria, as difficult as it might seem, we have an opportunity now to be able to connect with people around the world, connect beyond their own environment. We have an opportunity for the young people to be able to get to places like they've never been able to get before. I remember 15 years ago, I worked in Manila for 3 years, working on a major construction project in the middle of Manila, and I saw many Filipinos who could not see beyond Manila or the Philippines itself, and I now talk to them, and they live in places like America and they live in places like London. And that was 15 years ago. Just because there were people, not necessarily just me, but there were people who came in contact with them who were able to share an experience beyond where it is they think the only experience is, which is in their hometown. So I think my message to the people in Nigeria is that there are people who can help them. I think my monthly training course, of which you're part of, is a way to do that. And there are great people out there who are helping young people in countries like Nigeria. We're not the first one, and it needs a concerted effort of many to be able to do this, because that's what needs to be done. These people are, they're unfortunate in some respects that where they live doesn't necessarily provide them with the most ideal environment for them to grow, but they have an opportunity, if they can connect with people like us, to be able to take them beyond where they currently are into a white space of, a place where they can actually take themselves to, a greater environment where they can actually fulfill the talents that they've got, of which they've all got talents, and really become entrepreneurial and, do whatever it is they want to do, because this is the opportunity we have today. Everybody, irrespective of where you are, where you live, have got an opportunity, I believe, to do whatever it is they want to do. They just have to have that environment to be able to do it in, and somebody to be able to, or people to be able to guide them in that direction. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
Jimmy, thank you very much for your contribution today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I'll just let everyone know that to make contact with Jimmy, please log on to his website, www.jimmybradbury.com. It'll be added as a link at the end of this video. If you did like our contribution today, please like this video and subscribe as well. And we will be posting this video on a number of platforms during the week, and we'll be back again with you next Monday with a new video, again talking on and touching on other aspects of entrepreneurship that we think will help you along the way. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Jimmy. Until next week.
My pleasure. All
Okay,
right.
bye.
Very good. Thanks, Annette. Bye-bye.